is live at local morning radio, coming to you from the studios of Magic Broadcasting on Laird. This is the Kramer Show. This is the Kramer Show. The phone is now open, and the phone operators are standing by. Turn down your radio when you call. Pay attention and be ready to go. 850-233-9988.
What a porker.
This is Kramer. Kramer.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:06. Good morning. Time to get up and at 'em. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, joining us via phone this morning, Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help Team. Sir, good morning.
How you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. I have talked. I was telling the last show. I went into my doctor's office yesterday, and I'm talking to the doctor. He realizes that I'm on the radio, and he asked me who I am, and I tell him, and he goes, "Oh, I listened to that," and he named you by name, and said, "I listened to him," and he mentioned Mike Rump, the other guy who's on sometimes, and he said, "I think what you're doing is really good because I don't think a lot of people," and he said exactly, I think, what I verbatim have said. He goes, "I don't think a lot of people knew prior to this storm that they were going to need a lawyer or need a lawyer to help them get through their insurance policy, need a lawyer to get more from their insurance company." And so, he went out and he looked around. He said to me, "I don't have time." He said, I'm a doctor. I work 16, 18 hours a day. I don't have time to spend doing it. And he goes, that's not, being braggadocious at all. It's just that I don't have the time. So getting somebody in there to help is a huge, huge asset to people.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, I haven't met anybody who has enjoyed this process yet. It is amazing not only how time-consuming it is, how frustrating it is, how depressing it is, and how difficult it is to understand even what you need to do correctly. I mean, everybody was under the thought process that when, this happened, if God forbid something should happen, I have a flood or I have any damage, that I could call an insurance company. They would come right out and they would write a check like they see in the commercials. No one even contemplated or thought it was possible that this would be complicated, or I'd have to fill out weird forms called proofs of losses, or I'd have to figure out how to write them or what to say, or that I would meet adjusters that were from other states that I would never speak to again after the first time they came out. So you're right, and the bottom line is, we're approaching week 10, and most of your listeners don't have all of their money. And at some juncture, you have to say to yourself, I've got to get a professional that can get in there and tell the insurance company, either you're going to pay me the money I'm owed now, or you're going to face having to pay 2 or 3 times that amount or more when a lawyer gets involved and holds you to the honor of your word. That is the insurance contract.
Yeah, and my gosh, that thing is, somebody was telling me yesterday that their home policy was 70 to 80 pages long. Do you think that the average person is going to be able to look? I'm maybe of average intelligence. I can't sit around reading that stuff because, and two, the other thing is it'll say one thing in one section and then another in another section. Just reading the stupid paperwork is not only a pain but nearly impossible.
It's funny you say that because darkly humorous, I might say, in that these are not insurance policies of inclusion. They're policies of exclusion. You see a first page that tells you here's the coverage you have for your structures or your other structures or your contents or your loss of use, and then here is 50 pages of exclusions or what we're not going to cover. You need a decoder ring, a compass, 3 physicists and a lawyer to understand even what these terms mean. And as I said to you before, if I put 10 lawyers in a room and gave them the insurance policy, probably 10 of them couldn't tell you what that policy actually means. And these are professionals. So it is a very complicated thing, and you have to know where to look in the policy, and you have to understand very complicated things and know even the statutes, because it's not only just the insurance policy, Kramer, but it's these statutes that apply and tell you. Nowhere in the policy does it tell you that if you have a part of your floor ruined and they can't perfectly match the floor, that you get an entire new floor. That's in Chapter 626.9744, subsection 2. Who would know that? So there's such complications that even the best of adjusters and lawyers oftentimes don't know all the rights that you have. And so you need to pay particular attention to that and recognize this is the most important thing you will do in your life. This is the most serious damage claim you will ever have relating to your home. There won't be another storm tomorrow. There might be some in the future, but this is the first and most important thing, and you need to maximize your recovery.
Yeah, just the whole process is just lengthy and it's laborious, and there's so much to it. My gosh, to call Scott Major and the Storm Help team, 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. Can you imagine somebody actually doing this whole thing by themselves? I've mentioned it before. I have a coworker here. He told me I could mention his name. So Fitz from 97X, his family lived in Mexico Beach, and their house was completely destroyed. And I guess in that situation, maybe it's a little different, but he's handling it on his own. And just to sit and hear him talk about all the things that you have to do and all the paperwork and all the long conversations just in that situation. Hey, I had insurance. My house got blown away. All the contents blown away. There's nothing left. Now what? And so you would think that would be a fairly easy, okay, well, this house is gone. It's blown away. There's nothing left. Here's what we're going to cover. No, it's back and forth and back and forth. And what makes it even difficult is most people, 90% of the people, are not in Mexico Beach. They live over back on this side. And so you've got damages to your home. Maybe it's not going to be demolished, but to try to get the insurance company, people are now getting checks. Front page of our newspaper this Saturday, Scott, front page, headline news story, talked about how now people are getting these checks back from their insurance companies, and they're going, are you kidding me? This is what you're sending me? And frankly, yeah, a lot of people are angry, but then again, I think after talking to you, I think a lot of people just go, oh, okay, well, they're taking care of me on this level, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to sit quietly and we'll see what happens. That's not what you should be doing.
In fact, the opposite is what you should be doing. Their motive may not be to pay you in full, no matter how wonderful or mean you think they are. The bottom line is you have an insurance contract that entitles you to get all of the limits of your policy if you have that damage. And if you don't go and try to do something about that, no one will. And so it's very important for you to get the best professionals involved that are going to be aggressive, that are going to say, listen, insurance company, we want all of the money under the contract. We don't want anything less, but we don't want anything more. But we're entitled to get this. And there's just no reason 10 weeks later, I keep saying this, that they haven't backed up an 18-wheeler and start unloaded cash to people, and they haven't helped people to get their houses rebuilt now. It's time to step up. And I'm telling you, as you and I have talked about this, it's a big motivation for an insurance company to pay when they have to worry about not only paying you, but paying me and paying their own lawyer. And given that opportunity, any normal person is going to say, we might as well either pay this claim or we better start negotiating in good faith, because otherwise we could be exposed to 2, 3, 4 times the amount.
And that happens.
It absolutely happens. I've handled thousands and thousands of these claims. I've been involved. I've seen hundreds of thousands of them. I've been through every storm imaginable. I've seen what happens afterward. It's the same story every time, because the people in your wonderful county don't understand that this happened in Dade County or in Broward County or up in New York or elsewhere. It's not happening every single month in the same county, so they don't know that this is exactly the MO of the way it happens. So whether you like insurance companies or not, whether you think they're great or not, the bottom line is you don't have your money. And if you want your money, you need to get a professional who knows what they're doing, who's going to call them on the phone or write them and say, remember me? Okay, pick up the phone. I tell people, listen, on the other side, when I call the insurance company, I say, listen, if you want, hang up the phone and Google me. Okay, I'm the real deal. I'm going to go and I'm going to pursue on behalf of my clients, and I'm going to get all this money. And the reason is because my client deserves that money. And so you have to decide at some point, how important is your life? How important is getting back to normal? How important is this entire city returning to the 850 strong that we know we are?
Now, describe your background. This is not some fly-by-night guy who went and got a law degree and just decided that he wanted to throw his hat in the ring and see what he could do with insurance companies. This is someone who has worked on that side. You worked for the insurance companies for a while.
I was the former chief counsel for one of the largest insurance companies in the world. So you understand what that means? That means I was the number one guy in the country for a $20, $30 billion or more company who had oversight over the entire country. Okay, so I understand the way insurance companies work. Okay, I'm now on this side, and I'm helping residents and churches and organizations and neighborhoods and businesses to recover money. So they know who I am. And the bottom line is that whether you're leveraging me or whether you're leveraging our firm or whatever it is, we're just trying to help all of the residents of Bay County and around the Panhandle to educate you, to maximize your ability to get recovery. And the only way that's going to happen is for you to take action. I don't want people to have the experience your doctor had where he says, there's just no way I can handle this. Or the 97 radio station disc jockey who says, hey, gee whiz, I got a blown away house and I still haven't been paid all my money. The object is to get a professional involved so you don't have to worry about that. And you know that you're in good hands. You know that someone is going to fight for you that cares nothing more than getting every dollar you deserve.
And listen, here's what you do. Call Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help Team. You can call 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS, and their website is stormhelpteam.org.
You know, Kramer, you and I were talking about this, and it's really important for us to share this message. Listen,
hey, can
you already have
Scott, can you package that? We're about to take a break.
No problem.
Okay, we'll do it on the other side. Stand by.
You got it.
This is better than anything else on the air in the mornings in Panama City.
Hear that? Maybe he's not so great. Maybe he sucks.
More with Kramer in the morning. Next on NewsTalk at 101. Yeah, we said it. You're not dreaming. He's really back. He's really back. Back to Kramer in the morning on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major on the phone. 844-800-LAWS. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, fella.
Well, no worries. I just get so excited about this. I'm so passionate about this. What I was saying to you is that, again, I want to emphasize, and you and I have talked about this, I'm here as a resource. If you have a public adjuster and you already have somebody you've hired and you just want us to tell you whether they're doing a good job or how to help you, call us. If you have your favorite lawyer in place and you just want some more education or you want to see a theory, whether it's working or not, call us. If you want us to come to your church or your organization or your business and just educate your people, or come to the Kinko's and set up a tent outside, or the Chick-fil-A and set up a tent, we're here. Our job, our number one priority is to help educate everyone with the expertise that we've gained over decades of this stuff and over thousands and thousands of claims. And the key is to help people. And if there's one thing your listeners should know, is that education is power, and learning more about this, whether you retain us or whatever professional, you'll get the most money if you know the most.
You know, it's interesting. Scott was here. He was in the studio a couple of times, and we got off. Usually we'll go to a break, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we take our headphones off, and then people in the room will talk or have a conversation. And twice, Scott put his headphones down and looked at me and said, "Do you think that was helpful?" And what I took away from that was, yes, it's a business, and there's a reason for that, but it really does all boil down to helping people. And there are so many people here that, I mean, just need some kind of help to guide them through this process. And again, it's not about taking advantage of anyone. It's not about taking advantage of the insurance company. It's not about, hey, we're going to go in and we're going to milk this company because they got a bunch of money and we're just going to milk everything out. It's not like that. And I don't want anyone to ever perceive that it's that way. The way you should be perceiving this is that oftentimes the insurance companies are sitting on their hands, or they have people that don't know what they're doing, or they're playing some kind of chess game with you. It's one of the three, usually. Occasionally, I hear about an insurance company that comes through, they pay their claim, and the person is happy and they go on about their life. Very rarely do I hear that. But I think, that was worth mentioning and saying.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much, and I truly do want each one of these shows to be valuable and to feel like, people understand that I understand. I've been through storms myself. This is a devastating experience. You're entitled to be paid now. And again, let's say the insurance companies are the greatest people in the world and they're wonderful and we should defend them to the end of the earth. Whatever the case, you don't have your money. Whatever the case, you don't have your property rebuilt, you don't have the cash to go on your life, or you're a business and you can't reopen and you're losing income. I mean, whatever the case, you're entitled to recover that money, and you're entitled to recover it now. Not 6 weeks from now, not 10 months from now, not artificial delays telling you we'll get back to you now. And the only way you're going to do that is to get knowledgeable about what your rights are, and then to advance those rights, to take affirmative action. If you can do it yourself, great. If not, get people who are pros in it that can aggressively get your money now, because people should be recovering, they should be rebuilding now, and they can't do that without money.
Another thing that you mentioned, too, is numbers, getting together with your community, getting, one house. Explain. Scott. Did we lose Scott? Scott Major.
Yes, I lost you there for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Another thing that you preach is about getting people in numbers. Can you explain that? Why?
Sure, absolutely. I can't emphasize enough that if you have a neighborhood or a church, or let's take a neighborhood, for example, because that's a good example, and you have 10 or 15 houses or 50 houses in your neighborhood, and those houses are destroyed, and I could get 25 of those houses, and I write to the insurance companies, whether they're the same insurance company or a different insurance company, and I say, here's the pictures of each of the roofs, and I'm writing separate demand letters, and one of those companies pays. It's going to be awful hard for another insurance company to say 50 feet away, the wind or the rain was different. And so the more that you can get together and the more you can have people like us help you to write separate demand letters for the entire block, 50 at once or whatever it is, what's going to happen is that safety in numbers works for you. I'm telling you, if you're a condominium association, if you can get 2, 3, 4, 5 condominium associations and we're writing them all together, just imagine the amount of information we have, and if one insurance company pays, you can leverage that against the others. And it's just so important that people understand that and band together. Businesses, too. So it's important to take it. Don't wait on the insurance company to tell you they're going to send some engineer out, or they're doing a report, or they'll get back to you soon, or whatever. When you were paying your monthly premium payments, could you tell them, you know what, I don't feel like paying you this month, I'll get back to you soon, I'm busy? Of course not. So they shouldn't either.
Yeah, let's talk about the business side, because there are countless businesses here that, cannot open because they're dealing with their insurance companies, and it's taking forever. Sometimes businesses have to go out of business. We can't afford that. I mean, you can't afford that. It's, it's very important that the infrastructure of Panama City get back up to running. There's a lot of businesses that are not open. There's a lot of businesses that are open only part-time because they can't even find employees. And, if you have the right kind of insurance, they should be paying for things.
Absolutely. And in the business world, you can get what's called business interruption damages. If you bought the policy, which most of your businesses did, then your loss of profits during that time. Sometimes the wages that you're paying your employees, you could continue to pay them and have the insurance company pay them. I mean, there are all kinds of avenues of relief. You can get interim loans, okay, at a 2 or 3% rate, and then have the insurance company pay those back as they pay you out if you need to make emergency repairs. There's all kinds of creative ways to get your business or even your home back up to speed, and then use the insurance money to pay back loans that might have been made. So there's lots of creative ways, but we must repair our infrastructure. Our lives depend on it. And while the insurance company may not live here, you do. And so it's time to take charge as a group, 850 strong, and to really take a step and recognize the passion in my voice is what you feel inside. You want to get recovery. You just want your lives back. We're here to help you do that.
I had never heard that you can take out a loan and then your insurance company can help pay back that loan. That's interesting that you say that.
Just think about it. Let's say you're a homeowner and you have insurance coverage. We have a home right now, one of the many clients we have. One of them, for example, he had real serious destruction to his house, and he's probably got $300,000 of damage because his roof was destroyed, and then the interior got ruined as a result. Then he put a tarp on it, and all the tarp does is keep the moisture in. So he can go and get a 2%, 3%, very low interest loan from the SBA, and then the insurance company's going to pay the $300,000 because they owe the money. It's just a function of time. So he can get started on his property, and when he gets the $300,000, he can pay his SBA loan back, or part of the loan back, or the advance back. Because remember, you don't have to pay every dollar up front. You just have to pay enough to get the job started. So there's all kinds of creative ways, if you talk to professionals, to help you to get the businesses back, to get the homes back. Okay. If you're a church congregation, invite us out. We'll come and educate 1,000 people in your church, and then you can see what you need to do.
Scott Major, stand by.
The Kramer Show will be back in a sec on NewsTalk at 101. Back to the most listened to morning show in the Panhandle. This is the Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major is on. Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help Team. Scott's he's been handling insurance claims and insurance cases for over 30 years. You can call them 844-800-LAWS. Also, get up on the air with him right now. And you really should take advantage of having Scott on the air. If you've got questions, light him up. Talk to him. 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. Let me ask you this question. Okay, somebody has a home. There's damage. The insurance company dilly-dallying back and forth. When is the time to say, I need a lawyer versus I need a public adjuster? I mean, what's the difference there?
Sure. Public adjusters cannot sue. They cannot proceed forward and file suit. There's nothing wrong with public adjusters. In fact, they often send me cases. Some of my business comes directly from public adjusters who have gone out and tried to get as much money as they can, and then now, they can't get any more money, and there's still some money left on the table, and so they'll call me, and then you'll end up hiring me. The reason why we suggest getting a lawyer involved immediately is because if I need a public adjuster, I'll bring them in for the same cost that you would have if you paid for the public adjuster. So you end up with a lawyer for about the same cost as a public adjuster. And if we need the adjuster, we'll use them. If we don't, we don't. But adjusters play a big role, but they can't sue. And if you're the insurance company, you know this. And again, it's not a knock on adjusters because a lot of them are great. It's just the reality that the best thing to do is to partner. If you already have an adjuster, get a lawyer involved. Or if you don't, get a lawyer involved and let them decide whether or not a public adjuster is appropriate with those estimates. But we have the right to sue, and the suing part's important, not because we want to be litigious or mean, but because once you sue, they have to pay our attorney's fees plus their attorney's fees, and they may have to pay double or triple the damages. And those are big motivators for people to pay.
So how often, obviously the threat to an insurance company that it could go to litigation, I'm sure that's a motivator. But how often does it actually have to go? I mean, just the fact that you say, and you're Scott Major, you know how to litigate, you know how to go through the process, just by virtue of them knowing that, I would assume would be quite helpful.
Yeah, just over the past, 13 or 14 years, of doing thousands of these, for example, I can tell you that insurance companies are motivated. Close to home, we just had a claim where we got signed up by the client. They hired us. The next day, the insurance adjuster called and said, hey, I'm sending that check right out. Please, don't do anything more until we send the check. That doesn't happen every time, but the point is that obviously they're not dumb. They recognize that they don't want to spend money on their own lawyer, then perhaps have the problem with spending money on you and then having to pay the amount of money, or if they act in bad faith, which a lot of them are doing, be exposed to triple the damages. And let me just say one more thing about the triple damages. Under the law, under 624.155 of the Florida statutes, if they act in bad faith, you not only can get triple the damages, but you can get damages for like emotional distress. You can get all kinds of extra damages if the companies are acting in bad faith. But in order to put them in bad faith, you have to do specific things and have the right lawyer preserve those claims by filing certain civil remedies notices with the state.
Yeah, so it again, at that point, that they have to call you. You come in, you do. What do you do, Scott, after they call you? Do you go over and give them a consultation and kind of figure everything out and then go from there?
Absolutely. So whether we are coming out to your property, whether we're sending an adjuster out to your property, whether we're sending a general contractor or an estimator, we prepare a package, if you haven't prepared one already, to send to them. We write a specific demand letter with certain language in it that is the most helpful and motivating for the insurance companies to pay. And we tell the company, listen, dear insurance company, here's our estimate, here's our adjustment. Please pay it. If you're not going to pay it, please tell me specifically which one of these 100 line items you're not going to pay. Love and kisses us. And if you do that, you're going to have a great chance of getting recovery, or at least finding out what the insurance company's problem is. Maybe they have a problem that you didn't produce some pictures or a receipt, but that's holding up the entire payment of money. You just want to know, and sitting back and waiting doesn't help. If it were me, I'd hire a lawyer the day after the storm. But it's up to you guys to get educated and do the things that you think are best for you.
What do people need? What's the most helpful thing? Obviously, you're going to have the insurance paperwork and all that stuff. But what else do you need to produce for you? What makes it easier?
Sure. The best things for a claim are to have photographs, hundreds or thousands, however many photographs of every part of damage. If you have a piece of broken equipment or something, hold on to the piece of broken equipment as a sample. If you have specific receipts or documents that show you just bought, a couch or something like that, anything which will document your damages. If you have an estimate, any estimates you've gotten from a roofer or a general contractor or your adjuster or anybody else, any of those documents that are going to help to prove to the insurance company what it is you're claiming is owed is what matters. And that's the best information for us to help you to shape your claim. And then we'll look and see. I can tell you, most of the claims people fail to ask for the damages that they could get. For example, windows. The windows look like they're working fine. People don't claim them. A year and a half from now, your windows start leaking or they don't open properly. You call the insurance company and they say it's a construction defect or a problem that has nothing to do with the storm. Why didn't you make the claim before the storm? So you need to make sure you make complete claims now, including windows and other types of entry points.
And that could include a whole lot. We were just talking, too, the other day about damages that people have that they don't even know that they have. There's all sorts of things. Windows is a common one because a window can be structurally unsound, and to the naked eye it look okay. There's a lot of that, too, that's happening, I think, right now. And
most people just don't know.
Yeah, and I would hate to think that, somebody later, is going to file this insurance claim, leave that out or leave something else important out, and then later on, like you said, a year later, then they find out that it's defective.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at your walls. If one wall is wet, chances are all the walls are wet, even though you don't know it. You might have mold behind the walls, and you can't see it. Okay, we can actually shoot what infrared gun looks like a Star Trek gun. We can shoot it into the wall without even opening the wall, and we can see how much moisture is behind there. There's nuclear testing. There's all types. We can do drill incision testing. There's all types of things that can be done to learn what those damages are that you can't see. Sometimes you have a damage in a particular area, and it indicates another damage. Sometimes you have a structural problem. You can't see it because it cracks from the inside. There's all kinds of things You want to just make sure that you thoroughly repaired your property, so a year from now or 2 years from now, you don't sit back and say, geez, I wish I would have called Scott Major or somebody to get a thorough analysis. I called some whoever who helped me out and didn't get me all the damages, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And this is just such an important time for everyone. I can't emphasize it enough. And that is why you and I have been trying to educate people and just make them aware of the important things.
You know, just on a quick note, you mentioned that gun. I went to the doctor yesterday, and they were checking my temperature, and she got out this gun and pointed it at my head. I swear, I'm not making this up. It sounds silly. She took this little thing, pointed it at my head, and she goes, "Oh, you're normal." I go, "Wait, you just took my temperature. She didn't even touch my head. The thing just was by my. It was odd." Now, I think it's important also, maybe for you, Scott, to explain why people shouldn't be intimidated. You know, and here's why I say that.
Sure.
Anytime anybody says we're getting the lawyer involved, there's a certain level of anxiety that goes with having to get a lawyer involved. And when you say that, it raises the level of the conversation up a little bit. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I just...
people to be in.
Sorry, you get the question. Go ahead.
Sure. It's normal. Listen, I don't want to get a lawyer involved. Or if I get a lawyer involved, it's going to be more costly or any number of concerns about the technicalities or the intimidation or what the lawyer's going to do. All I'm telling you is that we're doing what any other professional would do. We're just doing it with more ammunition in our pocket. We're doing it with the ability to sue. It doesn't cost you any more. According to the statistics and the data that's put out by the insurance companies themselves and independent people, you know, you can get 6-7 times more when you hire a professional than on your own. The concept is that lawyers who know what they're doing in this area will make your life easier because they step in, they do all this work for you, and you get the check. And if you don't have coverage in a particular area, at least you'll know it right out of the box. And if you do, you'll get it. It's just crazy not to get the best people you could get. If you had a chance to play golf with Tiger Woods, you would obviously take him up on it. If you wanted Michael Jordan on your team, you'd get him. You wouldn't just bypass him. The concept is to get the best people involved because they're going to make your life easier. They're going to get the most money the quickest for you.
Got some phone calls, 850-233-9988. Let's go to Craig in Panama City. What's up, Craig?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Major. Thank you for all you do.
Hey, thanks. Oh, thank you so much, pal.
So my question is regarding my fence. I had an exclusion on my policy for windstorm, and when I had the fence guys come out and replace it out of pocket, of course, I had a couple sections, you know, that I had attached to the house, and my fence guy had told me, he said, check your policy. You know, it may actually say unattached is what's excluded. So I checked, and that's exactly what it says. It says unattached, and then it lists 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 4 is the fence for unattached for the exclusion. So my question is, I've already pointed this out to my desk adjuster, and they are, second time now, denying it after emails and sending photos of it before they took down the fence. And I'm curious, I mean, they just keep pointing to that same part of my policy where the exclusion is, even though it says unattached. So would screws attaching that fence to the house be considered attached?
In my opinion, an attached fence is an attached fence. The way judges and juries look at policies and interpret facts is what a reasonable person would believe. So if you look at that and you say a reasonable person would believe that this is attached, it's attached. And I'll tell you, all insurance policies are construed against the insurance company and in favor of the insured. So if your policy says that it covers, it only excludes unattached and you're attached, you got coverage. And if there's a problem and they won't pay you, all I can tell you is, whether you call our firm or someone else, call a lawyer, get them to file a suit, and they'll pay. Or get them to write a demand letter, and they'll pay. Because if that's what your policy says, it's read what a reasonable person would think it means, as well as all ambiguities being construed in favor of coverage.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll be giving your office a call on this.
Anytime. I appreciate that, very much, and thanks for the kind words.
Craig, the phone number, and for everybody else too, 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. Let's skip over to Rick in Lynn Haven. Rick, you're up with Scott Major. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Major.
How you doing, pal?
All right. I believe I may be the client you referring to earlier that had over a $220,000 disparity between what the insurance company has provided to me so far and the cost that my contractor is telling me it's going to take me to make my house whole again prior to the storm. The reason I reached out, Kramer, to Scott Major, listening to the information that's being provided by your show, is the insurance company told me it was going to take at least 2 to 4 weeks for them just to get back with me as the insured on the estimate provided by my contractor. Knowing that the contractor doesn't have the negotiation skills, the ability through law with the insurance company, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Hearing the analogy of the delay, defend, deny, I knew I needed help. And by all means, 10 cents on a dollar is well worth the advice and the professionalism and the efforts that a lawyer, and the one that I did select was the major Paruas company, to come in and assist me, because I don't have the time at the time to deal with a claim. And number two, to try and get $220,000 on my own to attempt to self-negotiate. For the first time I've ever been in this rodeo, I saw that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind thoughts and the call. And yeah, it makes a big difference when a lawyer gets involved because they have to elevate it in their own internal operation. Just so you know, from a procedural standpoint, what happens is when you file a suit, another level of the insurance company gets involved, and they have to assign it to a lawyer, and then there's all kinds of additional work that needs to be done, which costs money. And it's negotiating, on your own is very difficult because you just don't know what it is the right amount. You don't know how to negotiate. You don't know what to say when they say denied or we'll get back to you. You assume, well, I don't want to upset the insurance company. If they say they're going to get back to me, they will. And the reality is they either don't or you just lost 4 more weeks of time. And then 4 weeks later, they tell you, well, we've decided we're not going to pay you anyway, or we're going to pay you just a little bit. So why waste any more time? It's been 10 weeks. It's time for you all to get all your money.
And the important thing there, too, is I have a contractor that has been very helpful, and having a contractor ready to work on my house, he is now having to face the issue of money. Contractors can't front the money for every job in this city. Therefore, they do need money up front to get the job going. And then number 2, strengthen numbers. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Summit on Panama City Beach, we have Mr. Major's company come in to speak to condo owners and board members that have been affected by the storm. That's at 8743 Thomas Drive, the Summit, and we're doing the strength in numbers as recommended.
Yeah, anybody who can come to that, it's a wonderful opportunity to, again, get educated and get empowered.